Okay, so we've got a virtual VMware here, and it's interesting. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to install a Windows 10 virtual machine. Now, why would you do this? You do it for a lot of different reasons. Say you work on Linux and you want to run Windows-only software. That's probably a very common way to do it. Say that you're an administrator and you want to have various installations of Windows 10 or some other operating system, and you want to customize those installations. Say you want to sandbox. Say you want to say you have a piece of software that's very dangerous. You suspect that it is a virus. You might go ahead and just open up a virtual machine with Windows on it, run the very dangerous piece of software that infects the machine but gets you what you want, and then delete the virtual machine along with it. It's a great way to sandbox dangerous software. Okay, so for whatever reason, we want to make a Windows 10 virtual machine. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do. We have VMware Workstation open. If you're not familiar about how to install it, just search a video on how to install it. It's easy. We're going to go create new virtual machine. Okay. Now with a new virtual machine, this is why VMware is easier than VirtualBox. Okay. It kind of has a workflow, right? So rather than being presented with just a bunch of options, you're actually presented with, hey, where's the installer disk, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use an installer disk image file. Okay, so in my case, I downloaded the installer, the Windows 10 ISO when they had their free, when it was given out for free. And then we're going to go ahead and click next. Okay, we don't need a product key, so we're just going to go ahead and click next. Oh, this is the easy installer. Let's go ahead. So VMware, what they have with Windows 10 is this easy installer, okay? So essentially what it's going to do, it acts kind of like sysprep, right? Sysprep is like a way to automate Windows installations. For our purposes on this video, we're going to go ahead and skip that, okay? Now, if you want to use that later, that's fine. It's probably easier, to be honest with you. So we're going to go ahead and I will install operating system later, click next. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do Microsoft Windows. We're going to choose Windows 10. And we want to do Windows 10 32-bit. Okay, so the reason why I choose Windows 10, it would be based upon what your ISO is. Okay, so in this case, I copies the Windows 10 32-bit. I like the 32-bit better unless you have a reason. And your reason would be that you want to run 64-bit software. For example, some Autodesk product or Adobe product that requires 64-bit software, you would need to install a 64-bit operating system. I like 32-bit for virtual machines because you have to dedicate less RAM to them. So basically 32-bit will run with less than 2 gigabytes of RAM, though it'll run really slow. It will run essentially with less system resources than a 64-bit operating system. It'll be slower, but it will run with less resources. So we're just going to choose plain old Windows 10. Click next. Okay, virtual machine, it's going to automatically put it into virtual machines in your users directory. Okay, we're going to have 60 gigabyte hard drive. We're going to just accept the defaults. We're going to click next. And then we're going to click finish. Okay, we can go ahead and click customize hardware. So let's do that now. So customize hardware, what we can do is we can go new CD, and essentially what we can do here is that, how we didn't select to make to put Windows in the CD drive and do that easy install. So at this point, what we're going to do is the equivalent of putting the ISO file into the CD drive. Okay, so I clicked on customize hardware and I can go ahead and choose this ISO file now. So I click browse, I find my ISO file. Okay, so once again, I clicked customize hardware in the last step of creating a new virtual machine. I click new CD DVD. I click use ISO image file, and I'm going to go ahead and click close. Okay, and finally I'm going to click Finish. All right, so now I have a Windows 10 virtual machine. If I click on it, I can also do Edit Virtual Machine Settings. Notice I get back to the same screen. Okay, and notice that my ISO file is still in my CD drive. All right. The other thing, there's a couple other things that we can do, so let's just take a look at the settings. So Edit Virtual Machine here. The memory is 1 gigabyte. That's probably not enough. Okay, notice the maximum memory is the memory in my computer. Okay, so this computer has 8 gigabytes. For running a virtual machine in Windows, I would suggest at least 2 gigabytes. Okay, I mean 1 gigabyte. How fast is Windows 10 really going to run? Okay, it's going to be a nightmare. So 2 gigabytes. I'd say if you have 16, you might want to go as much as half. I probably wouldn't go half. I'd probably go. If I have 8 gigabytes, I'd go 3. Okay, and that'll give you enough because remember, it's going to split your RAM of your host system. So if you're running this on a laptop, essentially your laptop's going to give however much memory to the virtual machine that you specify. Okay, processor's 1. Okay, so I'm dedicating 1 core. So if I had a quad-core processor, I'm dedicating 1 of those cores to my virtual machine. Hard disk is already made. Everything else should be okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and click OK. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and when we're ready to run it, we're going to go ahead and click play.